you know it happened, you hear the stories, and it hits you very hard. It hit me very hard. It hits close to home. So whenever I'm reading about it or we're talking about it, I can't help but get emotional and wonder, how in 2021 are we still maybe experiencing, modern day lynchings? I know people don't want to talk about it. They don't want to necessarily have those conversations. Oh, it's political, it's this, it's that. But at the end of the day, these are human beings. These are Black people who were being impacted, who were impacted by racial terror, racial lynching in our society. That's not something you can run away from. It happened. How do we deal with it? How do we acknowledge it?
We collect soil close to where somebody was killed, and it was the most torturous and brutal point in their lives. It's a moment in which they met their demise, and they met it in a very unjust way. They met it in a way that was meant to inflict as much pain as possible and to terrorize people within their family and within their communities. And so there's a lot of pain then that's held in that soil. And collecting the soil then helps us to remember and to do honor to that pain. There's a lot of this pain that was covered up in many ways. It was hidden. When it was talked about, it was largely done in newspapers that were meant to further inflict harm. The newspaper accounts that come out at this time are just as horrendous. They're meant to traumatize even further. They sensationalize the stories, and not really in ways that exaggerate, but that dehumanize the people who are victims of these lynchings.
The community remembrance projects undertake historical markers, and then they also undertake the soil collections. And we felt really strongly about both of these things because we felt like they were ways to honor lynching victims in ways that they were not given honor and given that same respect in their lifetimes. We talk about in the UCCRP a lot about moving people beyond victimhood. We want to remember the people who died from lynching as more than lynching victims, that we acknowledge that their death was heinous, horrible, traumatic, and that we need to talk about the fact that they were lynched, but also that they were brothers, mothers, sisters, fathers, wives, husbands. They were more than what their death was.
What we are trying to do is repair work in ways where we're trying to come back and we're trying to repair what was done in the past. We cannot reverse the past. We cannot stop what happened from having happened, but we can come back and we can look at it in a different light, and we can say, this is what truly happened. There is such a thing as truth, and there are best ways to present the past, and that is what we are doing through soil collections and through our project at large.
That's one of the really important parts of the soil collection to us, was that, first of all, the soil collection allows us to almost afford these people a burial in a way that they were not afforded at the time of their death. And so by taking the soil, which has really been seeped with the blood of what happened, the trauma of this history, and we're commemorating and memorializing that soil in their honor, saying that we acknowledge that this history is seeped into the soil. We acknowledge that it says something powerful about our history. It says something powerful about us as a collective community and what we need to do now to fix these problems.
The soil collection itself is so critical and important because it ties people to the space. It gives you that immediate, feel and touch of knowing that you're retracing the steps of the individuals that were lynched, that were impacted by this racial terror. And, I don't think any one of us has been unmoved by having that experience, physically digging their dirt up, and being able to tell their story beyond the lynching.
I think projects like this, when done well, are a moment to kind of not revise history, but to tell a more accurate and fuller story.
Our tagline and the thing that we talk about most is that this is history, not division.
That's some of the stuff to me that just, you put, again, somebody like Frederick Douglass alongside somebody here like Mose Hughes, and that's a powerful part of this of this project's of its impact is that you have just thousands of people who are listed all together, regardless of who they were, and the humanity of every person who's up there on that wall.